Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting episode. Tonight, I am talking about the upcoming horror movie, Crucified. It is directed by Claudio Lattanzi, who is kind of a known director. At least I was familiar with him because the movie I recognized of his was Zombie 5, Killing Birds, late 80s zombie Italian movie. Kind of fun, really kind of schlocky too, but in the best ways, I would say. So I wasn't quite sure what to expect with this, as it's a newer movie. And based on the poster artwork and the name, my expectations were really low, and I think they kind of do the movie a disservice, honestly. Not that this is anything mind-blowing, but the name Crucified, super generic. The poster kind of fits, but really doesn't give you a good sense of what the movie is about. So what the movie is about is two young women traversing the post-apocalyptic Earth who have this dream of this place in their head that apparently will be safe to them. Meanwhile, there's this plague raging, and it's not quite clear what it is, whether it's zombies or something. Also, there's these executioners, which are people who hunt down what just appears to be anyone who roams the earth and then crucifies them in the name of their religious fanaticism to perform some sort of ancient rite. That's the setup for the movie. The movie opens with a decent kill sequence. The lighting and everything is all fun, and the effects were pretty good. But then the movie jumps around to different characters. It's almost a little bit confusing because it keeps introducing new characters for about the first 20 minutes until it finally starts to settle into something cohesive. But also, this movie feels like it's almost entirely set up until you get to the last 10 minutes, which is, I guess, the third act, and it all just kind of blows out everywhere and tells you what the movie's about with a twist. There's an interesting premise here and an interesting world that they are building with these crucifixions. It's never really explained why, except for like a passed over line about it being some ancient rite. So it's a low budget movie, but it really did a great job of capturing an apocalyptic feeling that a lot of low budget post-apocalyptic movies struggle with. They had just the right amount of CGI or enhanced or landscapes with some miniature work that look really cool. There's a lot of cool visuals in this movie. Some not so good ones as well, but they have like this very blue color palette. It feels very grim and bleak and cold. Sometimes it's overdone where it's just blowing out shots with blue and it just doesn't look very good. But for the most part, I really like the tone the movie set. It's a very serious movie too, even though it's kind of a schlocky idea once you get further into it and it reveals its twist. But the look is good and the acting is okay. There's a lot of notable Italian 80s horror movie people. You got people from Cannibal Ferox. You got people from Demons 2. You got people from City of the Living Dead, as well as other movies. So they weren't that recognizable for me, but when I looked into the movie, I was like, oh wow, this is the guy from this movie. There's a lot of people they're pulling in for this thing. I think my main problem with this movie, it just feels like it has zero momentum. It's a whole bunch of setup and a whole bunch of conversations. It's these characters all kind of coming together in this one place, and about the 25-minute mark, the rest of the movie, they're just kind of sitting around talking about why did the apocalypse happen, ruminating about like why they came here, and it never really serves much of a purpose. It just feels like time wasting. It feels like a mid-season episode of The Walking Dead or something, where it kind of works because by that point, you already like or know the characters enough that you can sit down for these long moments and hear some backstory. But this is like all new characters we don't know anything about, and they don't really bother to develop them at all. But we do hear like these generic ramblings about the apocalypse and the destruction and blah, 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 blah. But it's all kind of meaningless because we already know that it's an apocalyptic setting. We want to know more about these exterminators, and we do learn a little bit, but not enough. And that's one of the most interesting parts of the movie is the crucifixions and why they're doing it. And you do learn something later on, and I'll probably spoil it because it was out of nowhere. And as weird and crazy as the twist is in this movie, it's kind of disappointing because when it gets to that point and you're like, wait, how did we get here? The movie just ends. And so it feels like a wasted opportunity or potential here. I get it's a low budget movie and you only have so many locations. The locations they have are good. They're like these abandoned rundown buildings and they all look good and serve the apocalyptic feel. They got that section right. they have an interesting nugget and premise here started. The movie goes somewhere interesting. It's the middle section. They needed more action, more plot. There's not very many kills in this movie. What kills there are, they're okay. There's some decent gore here and there. So there's so much potential here that I wish it had more of an interesting story. I feel like this is the exact same review I'm giving for Curse of the Blind Dead, which I did not too long ago, but it's very similar. There's positives to it, but overall the story is just kind of blah and wastes all the potential that they put into the production. Now, I want to get into some spoilers. If you want to watch it, just turn off now and go check it out. But like an hour into this hour and 10-minute long movie, we learn that actually all the women characters are vampires, and this guy that we've spent this hour-long movie with, who's this old man, is actually Van Helsing, and somehow Dracula's involved, and this shit is out of nowhere. It's kind of fun, honestly. Maybe if they would have revealed that like 45 minutes into the movie, and the third act would have been like a lot of action revolving around this new interesting plot point, it could have been fun, but it's so out of nowhere, and the movie gives you zero time to reflect on it, because 5 minutes later it's ending. You're like left with this sense of like, you're just left confused as to why we just jammed that in there when it's not really hinted at very much at all within the first hour. It's not very unique either, but it was interesting to fit it in such this bleak, weird, apocalyptic, serious movie. So I don't know, man. This is a weird one. It's not great, but it has some positives to it. So I didn't hate it. I didn't mind watching it either, even though, like I said, the middle 50 minutes, 45 minutes, basically nothing happens. I was still invested though for some reason, so something must have been working for me, okay? Crucified. It is out on March 9th on VOD. Check it out if that sounds interesting to you. If not, I will catch you here next time, guys. Goodbye.